Quick question, guys. So, at what point in our lives do we start embracing this adulthood thing?
That question I asked is genuinely a question I would love to have an answer to because it feels like I woke up one day and life just sprang adulthood up at me. Welcome to Doing Life Out Loud. My name is Amma. Now, I've been thinking a lot about growth, the future, and generally the kind of life I see myself building. And surprisingly, it is some conversations that I've had with other people, some situationships, and some encounters that I've had that actually drew my mind to some of these discussions. Now, let me tell you a story about a situationship that I had that changed my perspective about life completely and made me take this adulting thing very seriously. So I met this guy, we started talking. There were occasions that we would talk generally about the things that are around us, the very normal conversations. And there were a few times that we would have very deep conversations. Now, these conversations were what drew my mind to the future that I was building for myself and the kind of life that I was living. A typical example was a day when we were having a conversation, and then I was going on and on and on about how a man has to be intentional about me and how the kind of love that I want should be loud and all that. I still want that. No two ways about that. But he asked me a question that was very thought provoking. He asked me what intentionality actually meant to me. And I realized something. I had been shouting about intentionality my whole life. I had been talking about intentionality and other things without actually looking at the fine details. I hadn't chiseled out the fine details. I didn't know what intentionality actually meant to me. I only knew the dictionary meaning of intentionality. So if somebody should ask me, what can I do for you to feel intentionally loved and appreciated? Um, we're gonna be found wanting because that is something that I hadn't really thought about. You get it? Good. I needed to have a sit down with myself and look at the fine details of my life. So I prayed. Believe me, I prayed. And then I decided to look more into vision boards and goals and weekly goals and daily goals. You know, all those shenanigans because a girl had to get it and get it right. So, in my research on vision boards and those things, I realized one thing: most people were doing it for the content and the aesthetics and new year new me, go girl, those things. But I was looking for something more deeper. I was looking for purpose. I was looking for fulfillment. I was looking for peace. I was looking for some kind of confidence in the kind of life that I was building. So I decided to take it a bit more seriously. But one thing that I learned on that journey that really stuck with me was the fact that people threw vision board parties at the beginning of the year, sometimes at the end of the year, towards the new year and all that. And as the party girl that I am, I'm picking that up. We are doing this maybe next year. We'll look into it. But that is one thing that I decided to take a bit more seriously. So after doing my research and everything, getting two and two together, I realized one thing: that I had seen so much toxicity around me that I knew exactly what I did not want in my life, but I had no idea what I actually wanted. Now, mind you, the fact that you do not want a certain trait in your life does not mean that the absence of it is what is going to make you entirely happy. There are other things that you would actually want in your life that you may not necessarily find. So you I needed to have a roadmap, right? So maybe I see myself becoming please, this is just an example. This is just an example. I see myself becoming the next president of Ghana. Now you realize that you need a roadmap. You don't just wake up and then you are handed the presidency. You need to take certain steps, right? So those were the things that I now needed to iron out in my personal life. This was something that was actually very difficult for me to accept because I felt like at this age you are now figuring these things out. But then again, I realized that I'm not in competition with anybody. I have all the time. So I can actually take my time and do this right. So I sat down. I literally sat down and I had a meeting with myself. I asked myself the hard questions and I realized that I wasn't even living a dream that was entirely mine. I was living a dream that was more like a rite of passage thing. So you know that okay, from this age to this age, I'm supposed to be in school. From this age to this age, I should be married. You know that kind of life. I didn't have a dream that was entirely mine. Something that I could say that look, this is my dream. It was more like a dream that society and societal timelines and societal pressure had laid out for me. So again, I needed to take a second look at that. Now, another thing that I realized in all of this was also that because I did not have a dream that was entirely mine, anytime I had a win, I just celebrated it as a rite of passage. It didn't give me any kind of fulfillment. You know, that kind of joy that you have when you have actually achieved something that was yours. Yeah, I didn't really have that. So I needed to take a second look at that as well. One major aspect of my life that needed some kind of rebranding was the aspect of my life that had to do with relationships. When I talk about relationships, I'm not only talking about the romantic aspect, I'm talking about acquaintances, friends, everything. I realized that I was no longer looking for people who just loved me, but I was also looking for people who were in alignment with the dreams and the goals that I had discovered. So I started being on the lookout for certain things and certain traits, having certain conversations around the dreams that I wanted, like I want for myself, the things that I want to see in my future. And then I tried to have those conversations with my friends and the people that were around me to kind of see the alignment where we can actually meet. Because at the end of the day, if you are with people who do not understand your dream, who do not understand your vision, who are not really aligned with where God is taking you, then it may sway you from your purpose. So I have to take that step. I'm using hard and half because there are decisions that I've already made, but there are steps that I am still taking because it's not everything that I am saying that I have actually been able to completely do. But at least there are things that I have learned, and I am hoping that as life goes on, I'll be able to take them one after the other. I mean, that's why we are here. We are not looking for perfection, we are looking at honesty. Never forget that. It is when you have alignment that accountability becomes easier and you actually get the kind of support system that you need to be able to push you towards your goal. You do not need validation, but nobody is an island. And sometimes you need some words of encouragement from somebody who actually understands what is going on to be able to push forward. And I've learned something that it is not everybody who comes into your life that comes to stay. Some people are just your wake up call. Some come to wake you up from your slumber. Some come to draw your attention to certain things that God has been drawing your attention to. So you need to be able to differentiate so that you pick up what you are supposed to pick up from these people. I know that some of these people who came into my life that I necessarily did not end up with did not just come and go empty handed. They actually left me sitting with myself and dealing with the things that I have been refusing to see and refusing to deal with. So, what's the goal here? The goal here is simple. The goal here is to get to the point where I am confident enough in myself and in the things that are around me and in the future that I am building. I have enough faith in the prayers that I pray. I am able to become softer and embrace my femininity without losing my strength. I am able to outgrow imposter syndrome and actually accept my wins as mine and enjoy them and bask in them. And then the final goal is to be intentional about living in my life and not just existing. I used to just exist. I used to be very oblivious about the things that go on around me. And it is something that I am working actively on actually getting rid of. So as much as I've had these hard conversations with myself, I hope you get the chance to actually also sit with yourself and have these conversations. At the end of the day, don't look out for perfection. Just make sure that you are taking it one step at a time and we'll get there. It's not easy, but God never promised that the journey was going to be easy. So until next time, this has been Living Life Out Loud. My name is Amma. Bye.